Captain Jiwoo Park stood at the main window of the Earthship, handshake. The giant planet Jupiter filled half the view. Its swirling orange and red clouds made Jiwoo feel small. But today was not a day to feel small. Today was the biggest day in human history. "Captain, they're here," said Hyunki Choi, the communications officer. His voice was steady, but his hands shook slightly. Jiwoo turned away from the window. "Show me." The main screen lit up. A large ship, unlike anything humans had built, moved slowly toward them. It was smooth and curved, like a giant black teardrop. No visible engines, no visible weapons. It simply moved as if by magic. "All crew to first contact stations," Jiwoo said into the ship-wide system. "This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." Dr. Sumin Kang rushed onto the bridge. "Hurry," tablet computer clutched tightly. "Captain, the signal matches what we received 3 months ago. It's them, the Narvak." Lieutenant Do-Hyun Lee, head of security, checked his weapon one last time before hiding it under his formal jacket. Rules were clear. First contact was to be peaceful. But he didn't trust these aliens. Nobody knew anything about them except the simple message they had sent. "We come in peace to meet Earth humans." "The other 11 ships are in position, Captain," Hyunki reported, pointing to the small dots on the radar screen. 12 human ships total, the best Earth had. The pride of humanity sent to meet their cosmic neighbors. Jiwoo nodded. "Open communication channel." Hyunki pressed several buttons. "Channel open, Captain." Jiwoo straightened her uniform and spoke clearly. "This is Captain Jiwoo Park of the Earth vessel Handshake. On behalf of all humans, we welcome you to our solar system." The screen flickered. Then an image appeared that made everyone on the bridge gasp. The alien had a head that looked like a cross between a lizard and an insect. Its skin was pale blue. 4 eyes blinked independently of each other. When it spoke, its mouth moved in ways that seemed wrong. "We are the Narvak," it said in perfect, but oddly flat English. "I am Speaker Thaz. We have traveled far to meet you." "We are honored," Jiwoo said, hiding her surprise at how well the alien spoke their language. "We have prepared a meeting area on our ship. Would you like to come aboard?" The alien's head tilted. "Yes, we would be pleased to meet in person. We will send a small group." 2 hours later, Jiwoo stood in the Handshake's large meeting room. The walls were decorated with images of Earth, its people, and its history. A long table held food and drinks from all Earth cultures. Dr. Sumin Kang checked her instruments one last time. "The air mix should be fine for them based on what they told us, but I'm still not sure about the food." "They said they won't eat," Jiwoo reminded her. "Just be ready to learn as much as you can." The door hissed open. Lieutenant Do-Hyun entered. First, his face professional but tense. Behind him came 3 Narvak. Up close, they were even stranger. About 7 feet tall with 4 arms and 2 legs. Their blue skin had patterns that seemed to shift and move. All 4 eyes constantly looked in different directions. "Welcome aboard the Handshake," Jiwoo said with a small bow. Speaker Thaz bowed back, a clearly practiced human gesture. "We are pleased to meet you, Captain Park." For the next hour, the meeting went well. The Narvak asked questions about Earth. They shared basic information about their own world, many light years away. They spoke of trade, of sharing knowledge, of peaceful cooperation between species. But Dr. Sumin noticed something odd. The patterns on their skin changed whenever they talked about certain topics, and they never answered direct questions about their technology. "Speaker Thaz," she asked during a pause, "I notice your skin patterns shift. Is this a form of communication?" The alien went completely still. All 4 eyes focused on Sumin. "You are observant, Doctor." "Yes, it is." "An emotional response. Nothing more." Do-Hyun didn't like the way the alien suddenly focused on Sumin. He moved slightly closer to her. "Perhaps," Jiwoo said, trying to keep things friendly, "we could discuss the possibility of sharing some basic technology? Medical advances, perhaps?" Speaker Thaz turned to Jiwoo. Yes, but first, may we see your engine room? We are curious about how humans power their vessels. Jiwoo hesitated. Showing ship engines to aliens they just met wasn't in the plan. I'm afraid that area is... Of course, we understand, Thaz said quickly. Another time, perhaps. May I ask instead about your defense systems? Now Do-hyun stepped forward. I believe we should stick to cultural exchange today. Technical details can wait until our peoples know each other better. The three Narvak looked at each other. Their skin patterns went wild, flashing and swirling. Is something wrong? Jiwoo asked. Speaker Thaz's voice changed, becoming colder. We have learned enough. Your species is primitive, suspicious, unworthy. Jiwoo felt a chill. I'm sorry if we've offended you, but... No offense, Thaz said. Simply assessment. The strong survive, the weak serve or die. This is the way of the universe. The other two, Narvak pulled devices from their clothes. Do-hyun shouted weapons and pushed Suman to the floor just as energy beams shot across the room. Chaos erupted. Do-hyun drew his hidden gun and fired at the aliens. One fell, blue blood spraying from its chest. The ship's alarm began to wail. Security breach! All hands to battle stations! Jiwoo shouted into her communicator as she ducked behind a table. Suman crawled toward the door. A beam hit the wall above her, showering her with sparks. Their ship is powering weapons. Hyunki's panicked voice came through the communicator. All 12 of our ships are reporting the same. Thaz looked directly at Jiwoo. You should have remained silent on your little planet. Now you will be cleansed. The ship rocked violently. The lights went out. Then emergency red lighting came on. Direct hit to our engine room! Someone shouted over the communicator. Do-hyun shot Thaz in the shoulder. The alien staggered but didn't fall. The third Narvak aimed at Do-hyun, but Jiwoo threw a chair that knocked its aim off. Captain, the Beijing, the Nairobi, and the Rome have been destroyed. Hyunki's voice was breaking. The others are under heavy fire. Get to the escape pods, Jiwoo ordered, helping Suman to her feet. All personnel, abandon ship. They ran through smoke-filled hallways. The ship shuddered and groaned around them. Crew members rushed in all directions, some helping wounded friends. The Auckland just exploded. The Cairo is gone too. The reports kept coming as they ran. They reached the escape pod section. Most pods were already gone. Get in. Jiwoo pushed Suman into one of the last pods. Do-hyun helped 3 wounded crew. Members inside, Hyunki? Jiwoo called on her communicator. Where are you? Still on the bridge, Captain. Someone has to keep communications going. I'm sending all data we have on the Narvak to Earth. They need to know what's coming. Get to a pod now, that's an order. Too late for that, Captain. Hyunki's voice was calm now. Pod section near the bridge is gone. Just warn Earth, tell my sister I love her. The ship rocked again. Alarms blared louder. Hull breach in sections 3 through 7, a voice announced. Critical system failure. Get in, Captain. Do-hyun pulled Jiwoo into the pod. The last thing Jiwoo saw before the pod door closed was a Narvak warrior coming around the corner, weapon raised. The escape pod shot away from the dying ship. Through its small window, they watched in horror as the handshake broke apart. All around Jupiter, the other Earth ships were being destroyed one by one. Your species is unworthy of the stars. A message came through on all frequencies in that flat, perfect English. Prepare for cleansing. Jiwoo looked at the survivors in the small pod. 7 people total, out of a crew of over 600. And they were the lucky ones. 12 ships, thousands of people. All gone. We'll warn Earth, she said, her voice hard with new purpose. And then we'll make them pay. Admiral Jeon Kim stood before the giant screen in Earth Defense Headquarters. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. For 3 days straight, she had watched the same images over and over. 12 ships, 7,342 people. All gone. Play it again, she ordered, her voice rough. The technician looked worried. Admiral, you've seen it 20 times already. I said play it again. The screen showed the final moments captured by the automated probes near Jupiter. The 12 Earthships, humanity's best vessels, being torn apart by weapons they couldn't match. The alien ship so much larger and more powerful, firing beams that cut through Earth's best shields like they were paper. I sent them there, Ji-yeon said quietly. I sent them to die. General Taiho Shin put his hand on her shoulder. We all agreed to the mission, Admiral. None of us knew. She shook his hand off. I should have been more cautious. We should have sent robotic probes first, not our people. The door to the command center slid open. A young officer rushed in. Admiral, we've detected something entering Earth orbit. It's small, possibly an escape pod. For the first time in days, hope flickered in Ji-yeon's eyes. From which ship? Initial readings suggest it's from the Handshake. Within hours, a rescue team brought the pod to the lunar base. When they opened it, they found 6 survivors: Captain Ji-woo Park, Dr. Sumin Kang, Lieutenant Do-hyun Lee, and 3 crew members. One had died during the journey back to Earth. After medical treatment, Ji-woo insisted on reporting directly to Admiral Kim. They called themselves the Narvak, Ji-woo said, sitting across from Ji-yeon in the conference room. Her face was thin, her uniform hanging loose after weeks in the escape pod with limited supplies. They pretended to be peaceful, but I think they were assessing our threat level the whole time. And we failed their test, Ji-yeon said bitterly. No, Ji-woo shook her head. We never had a chance. I don't think it mattered what we said or did. They've done this before. Dr. Sumin, sitting beside Ji-woo, opened a tablet. Based on what I observed, the Narvak are a predatory species. Their biology, their behavior, everything suggests they evolved as hunters. Their skin patterns change based on emotional state, but they can control it. When they chose to attack, the patterns went wild. I think they were excited. Lieutenant Do-hyun, his arm in a sling, spoke next. Their weapons were unlike anything we've seen. Energy-based, incredibly powerful. They cut through our shields in seconds. Admiral Kim looked at the report spread before her. We've detected no further alien ships in our solar system, but that could change any day. It will, Ji-woo said firmly. They called us unworthy of the stars, said we would be cleansed. They're coming back, Admiral. I'm sure of it. As the weeks passed, another survivor was found. Tae-hyun Ryu had been an engineer on the battleship Steadfast. His escape pod had been damaged, sending it on a long, silent drift through the outer solar system before its emergency beacon finally activated. Tae-hyun's story was even worse than the others. He had seen the Narvak board the Steadfast after, crippling it. They had rounded up survivors and performed experiments on them. Tae-hyun had only escaped by hiding in a maintenance shaft. They were studying us, he told the Earth Defense Council, his voice shaking. Like we were lab animals. In a different part of the lunar base, Yoonji Choi worked tirelessly at her station. As Earth's leading tactical analyst, she had been given all data from the disaster. Her brother Hyunki had been the communications officer on the Handshake. His last act had been to transmit everything he could about the Narvak. There's something here, she muttered, watching the attack patterns for the 100th time. They're powerful but not perfect. She zoomed in on a section where one Earthship, the Rio, had managed to land a hit on the Narvak vessel before being destroyed. Computer, enhance this section. Show me the Narvak ship's reaction. The screen zoomed in. The alien ship had briefly flickered where the hit landed. Their shields aren't omnidirectional, Yoonji realized. They focus them where they expect attacks. In the engineering wing, Min Jae-yoon studied the debris recovered from the battle. Most was just twisted metal and melted components from Earthships. But a few pieces were different, fragments of Narvak technology that had broken off during the battle. This material, he said to his team, holding up a small piece of blue-black metal. It's not just strong, it's reactive. It seems to change properties when energy is applied. He placed it under a scanner. This could be part of their shield system, if we can understand how it works. Meanwhile, Earth's governments faced the greatest crisis in human history. For the first time, all nations truly united under one banner: survival. The United Earth Defense Force was formed. All military resources were combined. Factories worldwide shifted to building weapons and ships. Scientists in every field focused on one goal: preparing for the Narvak's return. Admiral Ji-yeon Kim was named Supreme Commander of Earth's defenses. Her first act was to establish the 12 Memorial, a monument with the names of every person lost in the first contact disaster. Her second act was to implement the Survival Protocol, a global plan that would transform Earth's economy and society for war. 6 months after the disaster, Captain Ji-woo Park's escape pod, preserved as a memorial, was placed in the center of the new Global Defense Academy. Every cadet would pass it daily, remembering what they were fighting for. "We need to learn everything we can about them," Ji-yeon told the World Council. "Their technology, their biology, their psychology. We need to find their weaknesses." Yoonji. Choi's tactical team discovered more patterns in the Narvak attack. "They're methodical," she reported. "They follow specific attack formations. And they're arrogant. They don't adapt quickly because they don't expect resistance." Min Jae-yoon's engineering team made breakthroughs studying the alien debris. "Their shield technology is advanced, but it has limitations. It consumes enormous energy and can't cover all angles at once." 2 years passed. Earth transformed. The biggest manufacturing project in human history produced new ships, better weapons, stronger shields. Old rivals worked together. Resources from the entire solar system were harnessed. In a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Ji-hoon Seong led the development of a new weapon, a kinetic penetrator designed specifically to exploit the weakness in Narvak shields that Yoonji had discovered. "If we hit them when their shields are focused elsewhere," he explained to Admiral Kim, "even our relatively primitive technology can damage them." The first of Earth's new warships, the Vengeance, was completed 3 years after the attack. Captain Yona Park, Ji-woo's sister, was given command. Standing on the bridge of the massive vessel, Yona looked at the photo of her brother pinned beside her captain's chair. "We're ready now," she whispered to the image. "When they come back, we'll be waiting." As if in answer to her words, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. "Multiple contacts detected at the edge of the solar system," her tactical officer reported. "Hundreds of ships similar configuration to the Narvak vessel from 3 years ago." Yona's face hardened. She pressed the ship-wide communication button. "All hands to battle stations. This is not a drill. The enemy has returned." Across the solar system, similar alerts sounded on every human vessel in base. The time had come to avenge the 12 lost ships, or join them in oblivion. General Junho Bayek stood in the massive underground war room beneath the Rocky Mountains. Around him, hundreds of officers and analysts worked at glowing screens. The wall in front showed the positions of both fleets. Red dots for the Narvak ships, blue dots for human vessels. There were many more red dots than blue. "They've stopped at Neptune's orbit," said his aide, pointing to the display. "Just sitting there. Why aren't they attacking?" "They're waiting for something," Junho said, his eyes narrowed. "Or they're studying us." 3 years of preparation had changed humanity. The old nation still existed, but all military forces now answered to the Human Defense Force with Junho as its commander. Every resource on Earth went to one purpose: survival. "Sir," a communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the alien fleet." Junho nodded. "Put it on the main screen." The face of a Narvak appeared. Like the ones from 3 years ago, it had 4 eyes and blue skin with shifting patterns. But this one wore some kind of metal decoration on its head. "Humans," it said, in that same flat, perfect English. "I am High Commander Vrax of the Narvak Dominion. Your time has come. Surrender your world now, and some may live as servants. Resist, and all will be cleansed." Junho stepped forward. "This is General Junho Bayek of the Human Defense Force. We remember what you did at Jupiter. We do not surrender." The alien's skin pattern shifted rapidly. "Then you will die as the others did. We have cleansed 17 worlds before yours. None have survived." The screen went dark. Junho turned to his staff. "Send the signal. Operation First Stand begins now." Across the solar system, human ships moved into position. not near Earth as the Narvac might expect, but spread out in a complex pattern near Neptune. Admiral Gion's strategy was not to protect Earth directly, but to fight on chosen ground, on the battleship Vengeance. Captain Yona Park addressed her crew. 3 years ago, my brother died when these aliens attacked without warning. They think we're weak. They think we're primitive. She looked at each face on the bridge. Let's show them how primitive we can be. In the weapons development facility on Mars, Dr. Ji-hoon Seong watched as the last of his special weapons were loaded onto transport ships. Will they work? Asked a young assistant. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. In testing, yes. Against their actual shields? We'll find out soon. The weapons were simple in concept but complex in execution. Giant metal rods accelerated to incredible speeds. No explosives, no energy beams, just mass and velocity. The Narvac shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not physical objects moving at near relativistic speeds. At least, that was the theory. In a secret facility orbiting Venus, Wu Jin Kang made final adjustments to his command system. Using all data from the first battle, he had created an AI that could predict Narvac tactics and coordinate the human fleet's responses faster than any human commander could. You can't be sure it will work, said his supervisor. We've never fought a full battle with them. No, Wu Jin agreed. But neither have they with us. Not the real us. Not humanity at war. The Narvac fleet began to move 2 days later. 300 ships broke away from the main fleet and headed toward Earth. The rest stayed near Neptune. They're being cautious, Admiral Jian said during the emergency council meeting. They're sending what they think is enough to handle us easily, keeping the rest in reserve. Just as you predicted, Junho nodded. Is the trap ready? Yes. Captain Park's battle group is in position behind Neptune's moon Triton. The automated platforms are deployed in the rings. When the Narvac force passes the boundary line, we attack from 3 sides at once. Everyone in the room knew the human fleet was still outnumbered. Even with their new weapons and tactics, victory was far from certain. But they had surprise on their side. The Narvac thought they were facing the same humans from 3 years ago. They were wrong. On the Vengeance, Yona checked her ship's systems one last time. 300 other ships were under her command, hidden in Neptune's rings or behind its moons. Enemy fleet approaching boundary line, her tactical officer reported. 2 minutes to engagement. Yona touched the picture of her brother. This is for you, Jiwoo, she whispered, then louder. All ships prepare to fire on my mark. The Narvac ships crossed the invisible line set by human command. Fire, Yona ordered. From hiding places throughout Neptune's orbit, human ships launched their attack. The kinetic rods fired first accelerated to incredible speeds. The Narvac ships, not expecting an attack here, had their shields focused forward toward Earth. The rods hit their rear sections. 20 Narvac ships exploded immediately. Direct hits, someone shouted on the Vengeance bridge. The crew cheered. But the Narvac recovered quickly. Their ships turned, energy weapons charging. The battle had only just begun. Back on Earth, Junho watched the data feed. The human fleet was performing better than expected, but the Narvac technology was still superior. For every alien ship destroyed, 3 human vessels were lost. We need to implement Phase 2, he said. Send the signal. Across the battlefield, human ships suddenly changed tactics. Instead of fighting in traditional formations, they broke into small groups of 3 to 5 ships. Each group attacked a single Narvac vessel from multiple angles. This was Wu Jin Kang's system at work. His AI coordinated all human ships, identifying weaknesses and exploiting them faster than the Narvac could respond. Their shields can't cover all angles at once, Wu Jin explained to the officers watching in his command center. If we attack from enough directions simultaneously, something gets through. The battle raged for hours. Human ships fell by the dozens, but they took Narvac vessels with them. The space around Neptune became a graveyard of broken ships and frozen bodies. On the Vengeance, Yona gripped her command chair as the ship shook from a near miss. Shields at 30%, reported the damage control officer. We can't take another direct hit. Target their command ship, Yona ordered. All remaining. Kinetic rods, fire when ready. The Vengeance shuddered as it launched its last special weapons. The massive rods streaked toward the largest Narvak ship. 2 were destroyed by defensive fire. 3 got through. The Narvak command ship's shields flared bright blue, then collapsed. The rods tore through its hull, emerging from the other side, in a shower of debris and frozen atmosphere. Enemy command ship critically damaged, the tactical officer reported, not hiding the excitement in his voice. Yona allowed herself a small smile. Press the attack. Don't give them time to regroup. Across the battlefield, the remaining human ships redoubled their efforts. With their command ship crippled, the Narvak fleet's coordination suffered. Human losses were still heavy, but now, the aliens were dying faster. After 12 hours of continuous battle, the remaining Narvak ships retreated toward their main fleet. Of the 300 alien vessels that had entered the battle, less than 100 survived. But the human fleet had suffered too. From 300 ships, only 73 remained operational. On Earth, in the underground command center, a cheer went up as the Narvak retreat was confirmed. General Junho didn't cheer. This was just the first wave, he reminded his staff. They still have over 700 ships out there, but Admiral Jiyan was smiling. Yes, but now they know we can hurt them. They'll be more cautious next time. And we'll be ready, Junho said. He looked at the battle display where the names of destroyed human ships were listed. So many names, so many lives lost, but not in vain. For the first time in Narvak history, a cleansing fleet had been defeated. The human message was clear. Earth would not fall easily. 3 days after the Battle of Neptune, the main Narvak fleet began to move. 700 ships strong, they approached Neptune's orbit with caution. The easy victory they had expected was gone. Now they faced an enemy that could fight back. Captain. Yona Park stood on the bridge of the repaired Vengeance. Her ship had taken heavy damage in the first battle. Repair crews had worked non-stop to make it battle-ready again. Status report, she ordered. Commander Siwoo Han, her tactical officer, looked up from his screen. 73 ships combat-ready, Captain. Another 50 will be operational within 12 hours. Earth has sent reinforcements. 100 new vessels approaching from Mars orbit. Yona nodded. And the enemy? 700 ships, moving slowly. They're being careful now. A communications officer called out, Captain, incoming transmission from command. Admiral Jiyan Kim's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Park, your battle group performed admirably, but the main Narvak fleet is approaching. We need time to prepare our final defenses at Earth. What are your orders, Admiral? Delay. Them. Make them pay for every mile. You don't need to win, just slow them down. Can you do that? Yona's face showed no emotion, but her hand touched the picture of her brother pinned to her uniform. Yes, Admiral. We'll give you time. After the transmission ended, Commander Siwoo studied the tactical display. They outnumber us 7-1, even with the reinforcements. How do we slow them down? We use the same tactics that worked before, Yona replied, but this time we add something new. She opened a channel to a small, fast ship hiding in Neptune's shadow. Pilot Minji, is your vessel ready? Minji Kwan's voice came through clear. Yes, Captain. Shadow is prepped and ready. They'll never see me coming. Minji's ship was unique, the first human stealth vessel. Covered in material reverse-engineered from Narvak debris, it could approach the alien fleet undetected. Get as close as you can, Yona ordered. We need to know their formation, their weak points. Understood, Captain. Shadow, moving out. Minji's small ship detached from its hiding spot and moved silently toward the approaching Narvak fleet. Her heart pounded, but her hands were steady on the controls. If the Narvak detected her, she would be destroyed instantly, but they didn't detect her. The stealth technology worked. For 6 hours, Minji's ship glided between the massive alien vessels, recording everything. They've arranged their ships in a sphere, she reported back. Command vessels in the center, heavy weapons platforms on the outer layer, but there's a gap in their formation near the rear. I think they're still expecting us to be near Earth. Yona took this information to her tactical team. We'll split our forces, she decided. The main fleet will engage them head-on, a direct assault. While they're focused on that, 3 strike teams will slip through the gap Minji found and attack their command ships. Commander Siwu looked concerned. The strike teams will be cut off, surrounded by enemy ships. Yes, Yona said simply. It's a one-way mission. Siwu nodded slowly. Who will lead the strike teams? I will take the vengeance as Team 1. You will choose the other team leaders. No one on the bridge was surprised. They all knew the stakes. This was humanity's last stand. If they failed here, Earth would fall. The battle began 12 hours later. The human fleet, now including the reinforcements from Mars, faced the enormous Narvak armada. To anyone watching, it looked like suicide, but humanity had learned from the first battle. The main human fleet attacked directly, firing everything they had at the front of the Narvak formation. The aliens responded with overwhelming force. Energy beams cut through space, destroying human ships by the dozen. But this was only a distraction. While the main battle raged, Yona's vengeance led 2 other ships through the gap in the Narvak formation. They slipped behind the alien fleet, heading straight for the command vessels at the center. We're detected, Siwu shouted as alarms blared. Enemy ships are turning to intercept. Continue as planned, Yona ordered calmly. All power to forward, shields and engines. Weapons, target the nearest command ship. The 3 human strike teams plunged deeper into the Narvak formation. Enemy fire came from all directions now. One of the human ships exploded under the assault. On the medical ship, Mercy, orbiting at a safe distance, Dr. Hyunjin-no watched the battle unfold. Soon the wounded would start arriving, if there were any survivors. They're being slaughtered, whispered a nurse beside her. Yes, Hyunjin agreed. But look there. She pointed to the tactical display where 3 small blue dots moved deeper into the sea of red. Captain Park's strike teams are getting through. The Vengeance shuddered as another hit struck its shields. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Shields at 15%, reported the damage control officer. Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7. Keep going, Yona ordered. How far to target? 3,000 kilometers, Siwu replied. 2 minutes at current speed. Arm all remaining kinetic penetrators. Target their main command ship. The Vengeance pushed forward. Around it, the second strike team's ship exploded in a bright flash. They were alone now. 1 ship against hundreds. Enemy command ship in range, Siwu reported. Firing solution ready. Fire, Yona commanded. The Vengeance launched its special weapons. Most were intercepted by enemy fire. But 3 penetrators reached their target. The Narvak command ship's shields flared bright blue, then collapsed. The penetrators tore through its hull. Direct hit, Siwu shouted. Enemy command ship critically damaged. A cheer went up on the bridge, cut short as the ship rocked violently. Multiple hits, the damage control officer called out. Shields failing, hull integrity compromised. Yona opened a channel to all. Human ships. This is Captain Park. We've damaged their command ship. Press the attack. Don't let up. Throughout the battlefield, human captains heard her words. Their ships were outgunned and outnumbered, but they fought with renewed determination. Without their central command, the Narvak fleet's coordination suffered. Individual alien ships still fought effectively, but their overall strategy fell apart. Hour after hour, the battle raged. Human ships fell by the hundreds, but they took Narvak vessels with them. The space around Neptune became a graveyard of broken ships, frozen bodies, and debris. On the heavily damaged Vengeance, Yona and the survivors of her crew continued fighting. Their main weapons were gone. The ship's hull was breached in multiple places, but they used what remained. Maneuvering thrusters, point defense guns, even launching pieces of their own ship as improvised weapons. Message from Admiral Kim, Siwu said, his face lit by sparking consoles. Reinforcements are on their way. Yona nodded, though she knew they wouldn't arrive in time to save the Vengeance. Tell Earth. Tell them we did our duty. Far away, in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Junho watched the battle unfold with Admiral Jian at his side. "They're fighting like nothing I've ever seen," he said quietly. Jian nodded. "This is humanity's true strength. Not our technology, not our weapons, but our will to survive, our refusal to surrender." On the tactical display, they watched as the Narvak fleet began to break apart. Some alien ships retreated. Others fought on, but without coordination. "They're withdrawing," one of the analysts reported in disbelief. "The Narvak fleet is retreating." A cheer erupted in the command center, but Junho raised his hand for silence. "What? About our ships? What about the vengeance?" The analyst checked his screen, then looked up with sad eyes. "No signal, sir. The vengeance is gone." In the silence that followed, Admiral Jian spoke softly. "They gave us victory. Now we must make it count." 2 years after the Battle of Neptune, Earth was a changed world. The victory had come at a terrible cost. Thousands of ships destroyed, millions of people dead. But humanity had survived. And more than that, humanity had won. Admiral Jeon Kim, now Chancellor of the United Earth Government, stood at the window of her office in the rebuilt Geneva headquarters. Below, people moved about their daily lives under a sky full of ships and construction platforms. The scars of war were still visible, but so was the new strength of humanity. "Chancellor, they're ready for you," her aide said from the doorway. Jian nodded and turned away from the window. Today was a day she had worked toward for 5 years. The day humanity would leave its home system and take the fight to the enemy, in I. The large conference room, the leaders of Earth's military and scientific community waited. Among them was Lieutenant Do-hyun Lee, now promoted to ambassador. Once a security officer on the ill-fated handshake, he now represented humanity to the stars. "The fleet is ready," General Junho reported as Jion took her seat. 500 ships, including the new flagship Vengeance 2. "And the jump drive?" Jion asked. Scientist Yuna Shin nodded confidently. "Fully operational, Chancellor. Based on the technology we recovered from captured Narvak vessels, we can now travel faster than light. The trip to the Narvak home system will take 3 weeks." Jion looked around the table. "Are we ready for this? Not just the technology, but as a species? We're about to take a massive step." Ambassador Do-hyun spoke up. "Chancellor, we've made contact with 3 other species who were victims of the Narvak. They've all pledged support. We're not alone in this fight anymore." This had been one of the most surprising discoveries after the Battle of Neptune. As humanity expanded through their solar system, building defenses and preparing for another Narvak attack, they had detected strange signals. Other alien species reaching out after detecting the Narvak defeat. Species who had also fought the Narvak and lost, or who lived in fear of them. "We'll depart in 3 days," Jion decided. "Admiral Park will command the fleet." Yona Park was not actually present at the meeting. Most people believed she had died with her ship at Neptune. Only a few knew the truth, that a small Narvak scout ship had recovered her badly injured body from the floating debris, that she had been a prisoner for 6 months before being rescued in a daring raid, that she now had a prosthetic arm and gifts from the Narvak's cruelty. When she had returned, she had brought something precious, knowledge of the enemy from the inside. 3 days later, humanity's fleet assembled near the orbit of Jupiter. 500 ships, the largest fleet ever created by human hands. At their center was the massive Vengeance 2, commanded by Admiral Yona Park. On the bridge, Yona looked at her crew. Some were veterans of Neptune, others were new, trained, on simulators based on real battle data. All wore the same patch on their uniforms, a simple image of 12 stars, representing the ships lost at first contact. "Admiral, all ships report ready," said her new tactical officer, Minhyuk Kwon, the brother of Minji, the stealth pilot who had not returned from Neptune. "Begin jump sequence," Yona ordered. Throughout the fleet, newly installed jump drives powered up. The technology had been difficult to reverse engineer, but Yuna Shin and her team had succeeded. Now humanity could travel between stars, just as the Narvak did. The space around the fleet shimmed and twisted. Then, in a flash of light that briefly outshone Jupiter itself, the ships were gone. 3 weeks later, the fleet arrived at the Narvak home system. Intelligence gathered from captured ships had revealed its location. What they found surprised even the most prepared analysts. The Narvak homeworld was a fortress. Orbital platforms with massive weapons surrounded it. Hundreds of ships patrolled the system. But there was something else too. Other planets in the system showed signs of strip mining and devastation. The Narvak had consumed their own system before moving to others. They're parasites, Yona said, looking at the scans. They use up a world, then move to the next. That's why they attack other species. They need new resources. Ambassador Do-hyun, who had joined the mission, nodded. And now they face something they've never encountered before, a species that fought back and won. The Narvak detected the human fleet soon after their arrival. A transmission came through on all channels. Humans, a voice said, filled with more emotion than they had ever heard from a Narvak before. You dare to come here, to the heart of the Dominion? You will all die. Admiral Yeona opened a return channel. This is Admiral Yeona Park of Earth. We bring you a message from humanity. Surrender now, or face extinction. There was a long pause. Then laughter came through the channel, a strange clicking sound that was the Narvak equivalent. You are one fleet. We have thousands of ships. You cannot threaten us. We're not alone, Yeona replied. As if on cue, space rippled in 3 other locations around the Narvak system. New fleets appeared, the allies that Earth had made, the insectoid Vrek, the crystalline Tholar, the gaseous Penth, all species who had suffered under Narvak attacks now united with humanity. Together they outnumbered the Narvak home fleet. Last chance, Yeona said. Surrender. The response was predictable. The Narvak fleet moved to attack. What followed was the largest space battle in known galactic history. For days, ships fought across the entire system. The Narvak fought desperately, defending their home world. But they faced something they had never encountered before. A coalition of species united by their hatred of Narvak cruelty. Human kinetic. Weapons tore through Narvak shields. Vrek swarm ships overwhelmed Narvak point defenses. Tholar beam weapons cut through Narvak hulls. Penth clouds disrupted Narvak sensors. One by one, the orbital platforms fell. One by one, the Narvak ships were destroyed. After a week of continuous battle, the surviving Narvak leader sent a message. We will discuss terms. In the Grand Hall of the Narvak High Command, Admiral Yeona Park and Ambassador Do-hyun Lee presented humanity's demands. All Narvak ships will stand down. Do-hyun read from the prepared statement. All Narvak colonies will be inspected. All enslaved species will be freed. And the Narvak will pay reparations to all worlds they have attacked. The Narvak supreme leader, its blue skin, patterns moving slowly in distress, looked at the human representatives. And if we refuse? Yeona stepped forward. She removed her uniform jacket, revealing the scars and prosthetic arm from her time as a prisoner. Then we finish what we started, she said simply. The Narvak looked at each other. For the first time, in their history, they faced extinction. Their mighty empire, built on the conquered bones of 17 species, had been brought to its knees by humans, a species they had dismissed as primitive just 5 years ago. We accept your terms, the supreme leader said finally. As Yeona and Do-hyun left the hall, Do-hyun asked quietly, Do you think they'll honor the agreement? Yeona looked back at the defeated Narvak. They will, because they know what we're capable of now. 12 of our ships destroyed, and we killed millions of them in return. They won't risk what we might do if they break their word. 1 month later, the human fleet returned to Earth in triumph. Chancellor Ji-yeon Kim welcomed them in a ceremony broadcast across the planet and to all allied worlds. Today marks a new chapter in human history, she said to the assembled crowd. We have proven that humanity belongs among the stars. We have shown that we will fight when threatened, that we will defend ourselves without mercy. But we have also shown that we seek justice, not vengeance. She turned to where 12 large monuments stood, each bearing the name of one of the ships, lost at first contact. We will remember those we lost. And we will build a future worthy of their sacrifice, a future where humanity stands tall among the stars. Not as conquerors, like the Narvak, but as explorers, defenders, and allies to all who seek peace. The crowd cheered as the sun set over the new Earth, a world now known across the galaxy for one simple truth. Humanity would not be cleansed, humanity would not be conquered, humanity would survive, and those who threatened it would learn a hard lesson, written in fire across the stars.